Well, hello and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast, where each week we bring you valuable insight and information that directly affects our local business community. I'm Danielle Hawley, and I'm proud to say that I'm the executive director of the best chamber of commerce around the Fontana Chamber of Commerce. We're not biased, we just speak the truth here. And I'm proud to bring you our Talk of the Town podcast each week with my co host, Mr. Carlos Garcia of FYI Technologies. How's it going, Carlos?
Doing great, Danielle. Looking forward to today.
Me as well. All right. Well, this week we have a very special guest. All of our guests are special, right? We love them all. But this particular person is just such a great friend and part of our chamber family. And so I'm so excited to welcome Michael Welsh from Working Dogs for Warriors onto the podcast to share about the amazing work that he does within our community of veterans. So, Michael, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate having me.
And I was going to say, he's a little extra special because he works with dogs. I love dogs, man, especially
Yes.
what you do with them, right?
Yeah, oh,
Yes.
absolutely. I appreciate it.
We get to
I
hear
don't have
all
dogs
about that
now,
today.
but I'm sure you see me at a bunch of events with the dogs. So
Yes, you're the dog. Everybody knows that. But you've been around for quite a long time. So, for the folks that don't know you, they don't know what Working Dogs for Warriors is, the organization. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about you personally and your story here of coming to the chamber, being in Fontana, and then let's talk about Working Dogs.
sure. So my wife and I started working Dogs for Warriors back in 2016. We started as just a way to want to give back. My grandfather was a Marine. I seen him suffer through severe PTSD, night terrors. That kind of that whole stereotypical Vietnam era veteran stuff. So getting older, having my wife work for the police department and having friends who went to the military and came back, a lot of their stories sounded very similar to my grandfather's, with, the way that PTSD was treated, as a, just here, take this pill. If that doesn't work, take this pill, and that's not a way to function. That's not a way to live. So we wanted to look into something that's a little more holistic, I guess you could say. But getting animals involved. And when my wife started working for the police department, she was a 911 dispatcher for about 10 years. Um, so putting her through training and all that, you get all those stressful phone calls. You go through all that stress, and we decided to get a dog early on, and we wanted to train it just to be like her therapy dog, just a dog that could kind of be there for her when she gets home. So that's what we got our dog, named it Gunny. So a gunny is a short term for a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. And my grandpa would always tell me stories about his gunny. So I ended up naming our first dog Gunny. And then a couple of years later, we started the organization. We started an organization called My Gunny Bear Cares at the time. And the funny thing was we would go out to these city events, and the mayor would say my gummy bear, and immediately we had to change names.
Yes.
We quickly became the Gummy Bear Organization, and I was like, yeah, that's not gonna fly. So we changed it to Working Dogs for Warriors, and that kinda, it really resonates on what we do. We pair up working dogs with veterans and first responders. So with my wife, like I mentioned, with my wife working for the police department, we really wanted to focus on the mental health and well-being of not only our veterans, but also our first responders, from police officers, firefighters, dispatchers to EMTs. So
I love that. And I feel like mental health is such a hot topic issue. And I think that as a society, we're doing a slightly better job about addressing it, right? But I think we saw after 2020 just the toll that everything had taken on not just our young folks, but people of all ages. And then think about those who have served, those who are on the front lines, whether that's here at home, our first responders, like you mentioned, or our veterans returning back, just making sure that we're meeting those unseen needs, right? Like those internal mental health issues. So I applaud you guys for what you're doing. I want to dig a little bit deeper into that in just a moment. But before we do that, let's talk about your wife. Who's your wife? You have kids. So tell us about your family.
yep. So my wife, her name's Daisy. Like I mentioned, she worked for the police department for about 10 years, with Fontana PD, as a 911 dispatcher. She was a volunteer with them prior to that, for a few years, out of high school and college. When she graduated, APU. She was asked to apply with the police department, so she applied there and ended up getting a dispatch position and was there for quite some time. She left there, I want to say about 2 years ago now, and she actually works for the fire department now. So
Mhm.
she now stuff with her degree, doing finance in their warehouse and stuff, or their service center they call it. And then we have 2 kids, Michaela and Grace. Michaela is 6 and Grace is 4, will be 5, in like 2 weeks.
Little.
Yeah, little ones, little ones. Yep. We would not be able to do any of this without grandma and grandpa being there, always helping us. So whenever you see us at events and the girls are there, right behind them is grandma and grandpa.
Hey, it takes a whole village, right?
That's
Absolutely,
awesome.
absolutely.
Hey, so Michael, tell us a little bit more. Let's dig a little bit deeper into Working Dogs for Warriors. Tell us a little bit more about the organization, and maybe you can tell us a story that stands out for you as part
Yeah,
of what since you started.
so, obviously with COVID, the our application skyrocketed. You know, we deal with a very secluded population. These guys and gals who they have that self isolation. They may not want to go to public places or do big events, because of their PTSD. Um, and with COVID, being forced to stay home, we definitely seen it be detrimental to mental health. And like you said, Danielle, not only in veterans, first responders, but also in children. So we've kind of paired the two, doing some school programs and stuff with Fontana Unified, with Options for Youth and stuff. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Uh, but with our veterans and first responders, like coming out of COVID, what, end of 2020, or right in the middle of it, end of 2020, beginning of 2021, we had over 100 applications, and for the first few years of the organization, we would get 10 to 12 per year and stuff. Um, and a lot of them would, because the way our organization works is it's a hands-on program, so when they come out to us, they're volunteering at our kennels we have in Fontana. They're coming out working with those dogs there, so there's sweat equity in the game, where they actually have to put some time into it. We want to make sure that they're there getting the resources they need. So with those applications, we try to bring as many as possible. We had a bunch of people out at our kennels helping out, helping work dogs. Um, so that's where we see the real healing start, is when they're there in a setting with people who aren't gonna judge them, with other guys and gals who might have been through similar instances as them, or similar, um, not it might not be the battlefield, but they might have these similar stories, so, that's where we still see the real healing happen, is with them just building a bond with one another, so our whole training program is about a year and a half in total length. Every 3 months,
Okay.
3 or 4 months or so, there's tests that the dogs have to meet. There's specific training hours that each handler has to hit. They're supposed to come out once a week to our facility and, participate in a group training class, and then they take those skills home and work with their dog the following week, and, so we wanna make sure that these dogs are gonna be basically able to work for them for that dog's entire working life.
Mhm. And what is the working life of a dog? How many years?
8 to 10 working years for them. Sometimes we see it end a little sooner, and by that, it doesn't mean like the dog passes away, it's just sometimes they get tired.
Yeah.
Dealing with mental health, not only on the handler, but also for the animal, it's a lot. You see these dogs, especially like some of the therapy dog teams that we run, where we'll take them out to schools and that type of stuff. Those dogs are really mentally exhausted after that. So we have
Mm.
to give them some time to relax and stuff, but, we wanna make sure that it's enjoyable for them,
Yeah.
so it's when they go out, it's a fun game, So from our dogs that we have with veterans and first responders, we also started a program, with a care team canine program it started with San Bernardino County Fire. We had a few dogs there. Well, we started with one dog, Scout. That's You can kinda see her right
I
there.
love Scout.
Yeah, you've probably seen Scout a lot.
Yep. I have a picture with her.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yep, so she was, stationed right out of the fire admin building.
Mhm.
Um, so, that program started because we seen the need that, veterans or first responders are suffering with PTSD and other mental health issues while still on the job, but
Mm,
we wanted to be able to have these programs, and there's peer support programs and all that stuff in it. So we just wanted to be able to add to those peer support programs. So we started a program called our Care Team Canine program, where these dogs are specifically trained to seek out an individual in crisis and be able to provide them comfort. So we
mm,
could be in a big room talking just like this, and if somebody's going through a stressful moment, one of our dogs will get up and walk over to that individual and put its head on his lap, or
mm,
start licking their hands. There doesn't have to be necessarily an outward tell, but now that we've trained them to alert on a specific hormone that the human body releases, these dogs are able to gravitate, work the room basically and find the
wow.
individual and be able to care for them.
It's amazing, man. Totally.
Yeah.
I've seen some of that work, and more importantly, especially those that really need that help, or medically, like you're saying. I mean, I've seen the dogs even warn them before a heart attack happens and stuff, which
Oh,
is
absolutely.
mind blowing. You know,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
we have we have one of our he's a veteran, and he's a first responder, retired, fire captain, out of a local agency. So his dog, it's a little white, golden doodle that you probably see it everywhere with me, Danielle. He goes a lot of places with us.
Yeah.
So that dog is specifically trained to alert on his high heart rate. So if
Wow.
if that dog ever jumps up on him, you'll notice him start to either sit down or start looking at
Mhm.
its watch to see what his heart rate is, and there's been times where literally as we're just standing around talking or, walking through the mall, his dog has alerted on him and his heart rate was close to 200, if not over. So he
Wow.
was able, because his dog realized, "Okay, I need to sit down." And then if
Yeah.
it stays in that state for too long, he has to make a phone call.
Wow. Animals are so perceptive, I think, because they don't speak our language. People can write off animals, because you work with them. I think we're all animal lovers here. We all have pets. But it's just amazing how God designed them to be perceptive in other ways that us humans maybe miss, right? They pick up on the nonverbal cues, so to speak, and just like you said, the hormones that uh, humans emit or our emotions, and they have a different level of perception. And so I love that we're like I said, as a society, shifting and focusing more on this mental health component because it is vital, especially for those who are keeping us safe each and every day. I mean, that's the least we can do, right? And so, seeing the two come together with your organization and what you guys do is just so heartwarming. And we had you come to our special Veterans Day program that we did in November for the chamber, and that was a beautiful ceremony where you brought some of the your participants with their dogs. We got to hear their stories and then honor them not only for their service, but just for the great work that you're doing within our local community. Because these are our friends, these are our neighbors, our dads, our moms, our cousins. This affects all of us, and so being aware of that is just so fantastic. And we love what you guys are doing. And I want to get a little deeper into some of those events in just a second. But let's switch gears here. You seem to serve with your particular family, literal family, but with the community that you've created within your organization. And so, having you be a part of our chamber family has just been a huge blessing for us. Talk about that. How did you get involved with the chamber? What was that story like?
So we started with Fontana Chamber, shoot, I don't know what year it was, 2017, I think it might have been. Um, Through a direct contact with Rotary, actually. So we started with the Rotary Club. We were invited to come out. Um, so we joined Rotary early on, and just made some fantastic connections, and then we quickly joined the Fontana Chamber, because we seen the value in being able to come out to a lot of the luncheons and the meetings and stuff, and we've seen the chamber grow significantly since, over the last few years. And then we love being a part of it. I love uh, being able to come out to the events and just see the love that we have from the city, and seeing our friends, and that's what it's become. It's not just like acquaintances; these are our friends. you know, so like,
I,
and you always see me there with the dog and stuff, and
yes.
I know there was a few times when I didn't have a dog with me, and a couple of our a couple of our city folks would look over me. Where's the dogs?
Yeah. You can't show up without the dogs. I love it.
It's
No,
funny
it
how
really
things
has been a
come up.
staple.
Yeah.
We expect it, and you have your vans that drive around. I don't know. those of you that are listening have seen the vans driving around, and you have a new facility, right, in Rancho. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we just moved our training facility. So, for the last about 5 years, we had a training facility in the city of, Rialto. So we moved there, that we we took a leap of faith. Literally, we opened up that facility in December of 2019.
Mm,
Um, and, it was great. December was fantastic. We had classes there. We started filling up, because we also do a lot of public dog training. That's what kind of keeps the organization afloat. We try to be as self-sufficient as possible by being able to provide public dog training and boarding and all that stuff. So by having that facility out there, it's been a huge blessing. Um, so like I said, we opened in December of 2019. Awesome. We had a great following. January came around, great full classes. February, it's still great. And then March comes and there's a little, something's going on, something's in the air, basically.
yeah,
um,
literally.
yeah, literally. And then it was what, like March 14th, everything shuts down, and we're sitting there and like, uh-oh, we took this big leap of faith to open up this
Mm,
facility. Um, Kind of quickly burned through our reserves, not being
mm,
able to host anything there. And then a couple months later, we were like, "Okay, we're gonna reopen," because, like I said, our applications skyrocketed. Even within the first 2 months of COVID,
yeah,
I think we got, like, 50 applications, of veterans and first responders just looking for a place to go. Um,
mm,
so, we I always say we're a mental health organization that also trains dogs. So, we opened back up under that umbrella knowing, okay, we're a mental health organization. Yeah, everyone came back wearing masks and stuff, but, we were able to be there for one another. We started a fellowship group that met there every week,
mm,
as a way to give guys and gals a safe place to come out and talk, with other veterans and first responders who
mm,
who go have those similar stories. Like, I'm not a veteran, I'm not a first responder. This is my way of giving back and my way of being able to provide support to them. So, being able to have these support groups, and, we do wellness workshops and stuff. So, with that facility, it was a huge blessing. Now, like, we knew we outgrew it first couple of years, or probably first year, we knew we outgrew that facility. So we decided to start looking about a year ago, just trying to see where God leads us. Um, so, we were looking from everywhere from Rialto, Fontana, Ontario, Upland, Rancho, um, and it was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning one day as we're driving around, literally, like, can't sleep, so we're like, "Okay, let's try to figure something out." And God led us to this facility. So it's literally the old Abundant Living Church, grounds.
oh,
So
wow.
when we pulled in, and we happened to just turn down the wrong street and stuff. We're off of, Haven and 6th Street, and Daisy's like, "Oh, I used to go to church over there." She remembers doing the trunk or treat programs here, literally in our own parking lot, like, right in front. Um,
Wow.
and as we drove in, we get deeper into the parking lot and we see a for lease sign. Oh, so I jump out and take a picture of the number and look in, and like, okay, it looks a little small for what we're looking for, but let's try it out. So I give the guy a call and he opens up the door, and it's actually 3 units that had the walls torn down that I didn't realize.
Okay.
So, we ended up securing this property, so now we have all of our training here. Um, we're still doing some construction, like, we opened up a little store in the front to sell dog food, dog treats and stuff. We're, installing, like, a little self dog wash station. But this facility has already been a huge blessing. We've already had a lot of people from the Rancho area and further west who would come out to Rialto to train with us, and now being out here, we've had a lot of, a lot of more clients come out, and a lot of people, showing their support. So, it was a great move. It was a good choice, and God definitely led us here for sure.
Yes, he knows where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there, that's for sure.
Per-
So
Perfect timing.
if people are
Absolutely.
listening and they're, hearing that these resources, this community is available, what can you share with them in terms of maybe upcoming events? I see your Walk for Suicide Prevention sign in the back. Talk briefly about that. But if they're just listening and they either for themselves or someone that they know, how can people get involved?
Yeah, so, feel free to go to our website, workingdogsforwarriors.com, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Um, so we typically post all of our events on that. But the walk for suicide prevention is a walk that we did 2 weeks ago on May 11th. It was. Um, we knew we wanted to do something in the city where we have a mental health awareness event that we do every year, but we've wanted to do a walk for a few years now.
Mm.
Sure where when we first looked into it, we're like, okay, it's going to be pretty expensive. We got to shut down streets and we got to do X, Y, and Z. Then someone introduced us to the city co-sponsorship programs, and we're like, cool. That's awesome that the city offers this. So just kind of going through with our mental health event, we were like, okay, now it's time to do our walk. So we decided May 11th was when we were going to do it. Um, so that was a walk we had up at the Jesse Turner Center, and leading up to it, we had probably about 30 to 40 people, 30 or 40 participants signed up, like registered, ready to go. And we're like, okay, let's kind of bump those numbers. And that was like 2 weeks prior to, the beginning of May, we probably had about 40 people registered. And of course, like all of our followers do, sign up last minute. We had
Yep.
over 2 Yeah, we had over 200 participants. We had about 40 vendors. We had the cadets from the Fontana USD, Fontana FUSD CTE program come out with Miss Heridia and her whole cadet program. They came out and volunteered. We had a barbecue smoke team from the Smokified Q and Backyard Barbecue Hero, and here to Texas Barbecue came out and barbecued, and all donated all the proceeds to us. So it was a fantastic event. It was something that we wanted to have out. It wasn't a 5K, it wasn't a run, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just a group of people who came out to support our efforts in suicide prevention. You know,
Mm.
that number, the 22 number, has been going around for at least 20 years, right? People have said 22 a day. 22 veterans commit suicide a day.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that number is not no longer correct, and it's actually much higher. It's closer to like
Mm.
30, 38. Um,
Wow.
the VA redid the numbers a few years ago. They were pretty astonished to see what it was.
Mm.
So it's unfortunate that it's gone that high, and we know people, close friends, who unfortunately committed suicide.
Yeah.
So just having those events, having people come out, knowing that they're not alone in that struggle,
Mhm.
knowing that they do have a community that is right there behind them, fighting with them, knowing that they can reach out for help.
Yeah.
We had one individual who came out, and that was his first way of learning about our event, of our organization. He heard about us online and stuff. Um, he always was wanting to come out to our events, and he decided to come out that day, and now he applied for our service dog program, so we're gonna get him plugged in as soon as we can. So
I love
it
that.
was a great thing to do. We had great support through the community. We had great support from our city friends, and the chamber was there, and so it was a great event. And one of the other things that came out of that, so for the last couple of years, we've actually been in talks with Congresswoman Norma Torres' office regarding a congressional grant. Um,
Mm.
for specifically for our care team program, to be able
Yeah.
to provide those care team dogs to police agencies in the area. So about a month prior to, we heard that it's good, and it sounds like it's going to be approved and stuff. So a few weeks prior to the event, we got a call from her office and said, "Hey, we want to come out and present a check to you." So Norma
Woohoo!
came out that day and presented a $963,000 check to Working Dogs for Warriors for our
That is fantastic.
yeah. So that
Congratulations.
yeah, it's life changing. It's definitely going to help so many people in our community.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Michael, we appreciate you, all that you're doing within this space. If you're listening and you can benefit from this, please reach out to Working Dogs for Warriors. Know that you're not alone. If you know someone that can benefit from this is what it's about, right? We want to connect people with meaningful opportunities that will help better their life. And not just, this is your bread and butter, right? But even, outside of our business community, this is something that affects all of us. Like you said, I think we've all been touched somehow, some way by suicide, or if you're listening right now and you're thinking, that's me, I'm in a dark place and I really need help, please take the time to get the help, reach out. You have an entire support system here. You're not alone. That's the biggest thing I want everyone to know. But Michael, again, thank you so much. Thank you to your wonderful wife, Daisy, and just all that you guys do, not only for the chamber, but for our community as a whole. We would not be the same without you. We can't wait to see what the future holds. We know it's bright and amazing, and you're going to continue impacting our community in great ways. But thank you so much for being a part of the chamber and for being on our Talk of the Town podcast this week.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, pleasure, Carlos. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michael. Keep up the great work, man.
I appreciate it. We'll have you guys come out to our new training center pretty soon.
Yes, we're going to do that ribbon cutting. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.